Welcome to the SCL podcast, filmed in the MD Acoustics anechoic chamber at their testing facility in beautiful Gilbert, Arizona. In this episode, we're joined by Adam Baugh, partner at Withy Morris Baugh, one of Arizona's leading land use law firms. With nearly 2 decades of experience, Adam has helped shape Arizona's development landscape, guiding major projects through zoning, land use, and municipal planning.
People want to eat at these places, they want to shop at these places, they want to live in these neighborhoods, they want to work at these enterprises. And they think that when you're changing the status quo, you're taking an empty field and you're developing it into a new, development or project, that it's going to be the worst thing that's ever happened to them. We've got to stop this. And let's put together a petition. Let's get matching t-shirts. I'll print some bumper stickers. We'll create a Facebook page and a next door group, and we will just traumatize these people to not develop in our city. Eventually we win, and then guess what? These people are shopping in our places, they're working in our places, they're living in our neighborhoods, and their biggest fears and emotions were simply just that, their fears and emotions. None of it is real. It is over emotionalized, over exaggerated, and that's the story of development, not just in Arizona, but like everywhere. Yeah. No matter where you go, you're always building on the frontier of growth area, and these people are like, I came here to get away from that. And then when you build it, they're like, I'm so glad you're here.
How long have you seen that? How long have you been in your career, and how long you've been seeing this forever?
Forever. As long as there's a city council and they're making decisions, people are going to be upset about it. Arizona is unique. Land use decisions are made at a legislative level, which in this case are the city council members. And when you change zoning, it requires a city council vote. And I think it's important because it gives the citizens an opportunity to participate in the process. But the complaints are rarely real. They're most often perceived. I mean, you are either designing audio or equipment to address a perceived concern, or you're designing it to address a real concern. But oftentimes we make these changes to address the perceived concern so it doesn't spin out of control. I don't even know if that's where you were going with the question, but I mean, that's so much of what I do for a living. And if it wasn't hard, I wouldn't have a job.
Sure.
So, I'm so glad I do. And when people hire me, there's no guarantee that they're going to get their project approved. And they're going to spend money on engineers, consultants, land planners, purchase contracts, attorneys, all these things that go into like putting a deal together. And then you negotiate a lease that, let's say, takes a year. And during that year, you're going to do all this entitlement work. And you hope that at the end, the city council votes yes, but there's no guarantee they'll ever vote yes. And so when you recognize that you're spending $250,000, $500,000 on all this pre-work with no certainty of result, you hire someone like me who I think provides more certainty in a very unpredictable process. And is it because we know how zoning works, or we know how like the code works? That's part of it. Is it because we know the staff or the politicians really well? Yeah, that's part of it. Is it because I have been intentional about getting certain people elected because I want them to be good stewards of the city's growth and development? Sure. Is it because I know when a case is a bad case and not to take it? I mean, if I told you all the cases I didn't take, you would have a greater appreciation for the volume of work that could potentially come through our door. Like, not every case should be built into something.
Sure.
And so when you have all these like variables, or is it because I know the neighbors? Is it because I'm on the local chamber committee? Is it because I'm very involved in my community? Like, all these factors come into play, and they reduce the amount of uncertainties in a process that's not guaranteed. And so you spend money with me. Look, I know it. I'm expensive. I get it. But I give you the certainty, more certainty of a process that you don't have going into it. And if you're spending $500,000 on other consultants, it makes sense to spend some time with me because we can help you get through the process. And at the end of the day, you never want to start if you don't have confidence that you're going to get to the end.
Sure.
And if you don't think you can get to the end, then don't waste your money hiring these people. So a lot of times we just tell them, hire us really early. Give me a month to figure out Let me find the landmines. Let me find where the dead bodies are buried. Let me go do some outreach to the neighbors. Let me go visit the council members one-on-one. Let me go find the support from staff. If I can come back in 30, 45 days and tell you, hey, there's a pathway forward here, I think it's worth the risk of going forward. Or I can come back and say, dude, I'm glad you spent the money with me, because the answer is it's never going to happen. And it's like not over my dead body going to happen. And it's bad to hear, but they'd rather hear that a month at 30 days mark instead of the 7th or 8th month mark when you got denied city council and you have the walk of shame back to your car, and now you're $500,000 or more in the hole. And so and your neighbor and everybody hates you, right? Because if you aren't getting a yes, there's a lot of public reasons why, and now all your neighbors hate you, and that's the reality of the world that we play in.
You brought up some stuff that kind of got me thinking too, because you mentioned city councils and things of that nature. How does it differ for somewhere that's like an unincorporated area?
Yeah.
For example, I live in Santan
County
Valley.
Island.
So I live in Santan Valley.
Yeah.
Right now, everything you said is everything I'm hearing as we just voted to become a town.
Yeah. Did you vote yes or no?
I don't know if I should say. Actually, I will. Unashamed, I said yes.
Good. I would have said yes.
Because growth isn't a bad thing.
Yes.
I mean,
you need to control the makeup of your area.
That's the way I looked at it, is we do. So how does it differ when you have a city council? Obviously, you have that, but this is somewhere where we're dealing with a whole entire county. It's kind of different, right?
Yeah.
But very much the same. Everybody thinks that crime. It's a crime wave out there all of a sudden.
Yeah. I love doing work in the county, and here's why. In a city, if you're Phoenix, you have a council district. Every council member is the king of their own district or queen of their own district, right? And so I just need to convince that person, because the rest of the council members are not going to roll that guy or girl, right? Because they don't want him or her to do that to them when they have their case. So I love districts because I just know I only need to focus on this person. The challenge is that person's hyper aware of the constituents around them because only that constituent votes for them. In the county, if a few neighbors are opposed to my zoning case here, it isn't as significant because the county's huge. And so a council member or a supervisor who really wants to get reelected every 4 years, right? On a local town level, they're more sensitive to that output of neighbors than they are on a county level because the county level is bigger. I didn't know what a zoning attorney was. I mean, the career, I don't know if you knew frankly, I don't even know what your actual title is, but I know you didn't know this job existed when you were in college.
Definitely.
No, I did not know an acoustic engineer existed until I met my father-in-law.
I didn't know an acoustic engineer existed until I needed to hire one for a zoning case. And it's actually a great story, and I'll love to tell it in a minute. But I went to law school because I thought I was going to be an immigration attorney. And I spent a year, in fact, that's what brought me to Arizona. They had a pro bono clinic down in Eloy. So every Friday, I volunteered down at this detention center. I'd help people fill out asylum applications and forms. And I hated it. I hated it because it was hopeless.
Yeah.
If you're coming and you're petitioning for asylum, you have to have proof. Well, if you are an asylee and you're fleeing, you're not figuring, I need to make sure I collect all the newspaper articles or the death threats, and also most people weren't asylees, but that's what they were claiming. Yeah. And I'm glad I did the experience. I did it for a year, and it taught me I don't want to be an immigration attorney. And I got an internship with the mayor of Phoenix at the time just to get some credit. And I saw these guys come in, and they would tell the story about their cases, and the mayor just had me sit in the corner, just observe. And whatever they said, is like a snake charmer. And I was like, I believe it. I totally believe it. We should definitely do that project. And I asked somebody later on, who are these people? Those are the zoning attorneys. And that wasn't a topic that, I knew about. And there was one course in law school, zoning law. So I took that and I want to do this. I sort of conned my way into a summer, internship in Las Vegas. I wasn't, the top of class by any means. They usually interview the top 10%, but I think I just charmed my way through an interview. I knew if I could get the interview, I could land the job. And so I got a summer internship in Vegas, and they did this. They did this in Vegas, but Vegas is a good old boy network. And what I learned how the sausage gets made behind the scenes, but I also learned I don't want to live in Vegas. So when I came back, I started trying to find anybody who practiced zoning and land use in Arizona. And I took anybody out to breakfast, and I convinced one guy to, meet up with me. His name is Mike Withy, and at the end of the meeting, he's like, hey, I like you, but you should go be a litigator. And I was like, I know what I want to do, and I'm like laser focused on it now. And he's like, well, maybe I'll, introduce you to my business partner. And eventually I said, let me work for free. I already had a job working a clerkship that allowed me to kind of continue that through after graduate law school. So I just said, look, that job is from 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. because they were international clients and I was mostly through email. So I will come and work for free between 2:30 and on. And a lot of city council meetings are at nighttime. Planning commission meetings are at nighttime. Neighbor meetings are at nighttime. And so with that, I kind of talked my way into taking a chance on me. And after a few months, someone offered me a job at a different place. And I went to the guys and I said, hey, I've really enjoyed the last 3 months with you. If you think that there is an opportunity in the near future, then I will just say no. And I'll continue to work this way. And if you say, hey, Adam, we like you, super nice guy, but this isn't the right fit, that's fine with me too. And I'll just go take this other job. But I just want you to know I've enjoyed here and I don't want to miss the opportunity. And they say, hey, give me 24 hours. And then the next day they called and they said, when do you want to start? And that was the end of 2006. And I was like, yeah, I'll start like tomorrow. Like, no, like slow your roll, slow your roll. So I started January 1 of 2007. And, I was now instantly a zoning attorney. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I landed my dream job, but I really don't know how to do this job. And,
oh man, yeah, too familiar.
Yeah. And so, the story goes on. There's a lot of just practical learning that happens in the field, but that's the first time at that point I started to understand like how zoning works, how legislative matters work, how neighbors work in this process, how to engage them. And so many of the skill sets that I learned as a missionary, talking to strangers and disarming them in 90 seconds were instant skill sets that worked for me in my law degree, in my career in law. And instantly, I was able to apply a lot of these things. I sold pest control for 2 years, 2 summers, right? The obligatory thing you kind of have to do as a young man before you get married. And I think selling pest control for 2 years better prepared me for my practice as a zoning attorney than the 3 years I spent in law school. I know I'm not the smartest guy. I don't have to be the smartest guy. I have to be likable, convincing, persuasive, honest, and willing to be teachable.
Yeah.
And when you have those things, like people want to help those kind of people. Neighbors are willing to relax when they see like someone's like that. They don't want, if you're a know-it-all, if you're a jerk, if you aren't a good listener, these soft skills, they work against you in my business
totally,
right now.
Yeah.
So the weirdest thing is all these skill sets that I've learned knocking doors as either a missionary or a salesman better prepared me for my law practice and how to connect with politicians, help neighbors ease the tension in the room, resolve issues, find pathways to a resolution. Those are the skill sets that made me, gave me the talents that I have. It wasn't, 3 years with the textbook, that's for sure. So, and now, so fast forward, now I own the firm. So that was.
You said you started in 2007?
Yeah. At the end of 2006, beginning of 2007, we are not a traditional law firm. Lawyers, I think, like everything I know about lawyers is like I've seen on TV. Like the suits, that to me is like what a real law firm looks like. Or CSI or something, Law and Order. Sure. But we're not traditional. We are sort of a little bit like local lobbyists. Mm-hmm. We have to have a basis in the law, but we're more about relationships. And you have to build up a brand and a practice. And so I didn't grow up in Arizona, had no connections here. And so how do I build a brand as somebody who doesn't have any local, relationships? And again, the same skill sets I learned as a young man and as a pest control salesman parlayed well into this. I mean, you've got to start somewhere and reaching out, not being afraid to get to know people who are strangers, making those connections. I quickly built a brand and a practice. Doing good work obviously helps. And, sometime around like year 7, I remember going to the partners and saying like, what is the pathway here? Because I love working here, but I need to know like, what am I working towards? In my life, I've always had these things you work towards. And they just said, just do good work and eventually we'll get there. And at some point, the get there happened at year 7. And I was made a partner, which was really great to tell like my mother-in-law, like this skater actually became like a real lawyer. But it didn't mean anything. It was literally just a change on a business card.
Sure.
And I realized that if I was going to work for somebody for forever, like if I just did what they asked me to do and I just did their cases well, I was a good worker, but I hadn't created any equity in myself at all. I remember my friend orthodontist literally asked me this question: what are you doing to create equity in yourself? And I never even thought about that question before. And thankfully I was really young. I was probably like in my 3rd or 4th year of learning how to be an attorney. And that's why it dawned on me, like, yeah, if the only thing I think about is like doing good work, then I'll just be a good worker. And I want to own something. I want to control my destiny. I want to chart my own ship. And so I was very intentional about building my brand, creating new clients, making new relationships, becoming more connected, being involved in the community. Started doing a lot of fundraising for council potential candidates, all the things that make me known in this space. And it worked. It was very intentional. Like I was very intentional about creating this, and it worked. And then I think the partners saw that my brand was taking off, so to speak. And either you can work with me or we can compete against each other. And if we like each other, why do we just not work together? And so, the opportunity came up at like my 10-year mark, like we're just going to make you an owner of the firm. Because unspoken was, because you'll leave and then you'll just have your own success without us. And the good thing is I like them. They're awesome. Like we get along great. And, after 5 years, then I became the full owner, and now it's just me and Jason, and we own the firm, and there's, 17, 18 employees, and I get to chart it the way I want to do it. I get to take on the cases that I want to take on, say no to cases I don't want to, hire the people I like to hire and not, fire people when it's time, but change how we bill. Like most lawyers bill by the hour, and I think that's a safe model for folks, but I realized that we were not capturing the value of the service we give. If you're stuck with your project and you're like, I know Adam knows this mayor or city manager and he can get this thing unplugged, that phone call might be 15 minutes. If I bill it by the hour, that's like, I don't know,
$1,000, whatever.
$50,
50, yeah, whatever
$80,
it is, yeah.
But what's the real value of that? The real value is like several $1,000s, or multiples of that, because it allows the project to go forward. When the project goes forward, time efficiencies exist, savings happens, or revenue is created. And so, we change a lot of the way we build because like an entrepreneur thinks like, I don't want to bill for my time because all I'm doing is just trading my time. I want to bill for my value. And those kind of decisions and I can make because as the owner of this firm, I'm able to, versus an employee who just has to do and gets paid what they're told to be paid and do what they're supposed to do. So that's sort of been our philosophy. So we have a very untraditional law firm, and so I think it works for who we are as people and for the nature of our business, but it's not like a model that I've seen anywhere really.
That's cool. Yeah. So do you this entrepreneurialism, right? Yeah. You were saying sales, missionary. Were you born with it? Or do you think
I think so. I don't know.
Do you see it? Because like there's a place for workers, right? Like it's a safe
I need them.
place. You need them. We need them. Yeah. And there's no knock on that. It would be more of just like, where does that drive come from?
My dad was in the Air Force. My mom was a teacher. We were 6 kids. There wasn't a lot of extra, and so I always had to earn what I earned. Washed cars, pulled a lot of weeds. I was a hustler. I was like buying blow pops in the bulk package at Sam's Club and then selling them for 25 cents at school, so I could make an extra $6. And the next $6, I could buy a box of baseball cards, and then I could take the baseball cards and resell them and keep the ones I wanted and resell the packs. I was always just hustling. I bought and sold cars when I was in college. I meant everything, liquor licenses. And so I've always had to be this like hustle. So inherent in my nature is, I don't know if it was out of necessity as a kid, because if I needed something, I had to earn it, buy it, but it's just who I am. And I'm glad I went to college. I wouldn't change anything about my career path, but I think as where I'm at now, mid-40s, like appreciating that, like there doesn't have to be a college pathway to anything. And I have 3 older kids, 3 older daughters. They're in college, and I keep telling them, like, if you find something better, then pursue it. In fact, so one of them dropped out of college and is pursuing a trade school, right? Like it doesn't have to be the pathway, but what I'm always doing, I think they're annoyed with me, is I'm always trying to help them think entrepreneurial. During COVID, we bought 12 paddle boards, and because we already had 4, and we were going paddleboarding, and I was like, why don't you rent these out? Because they're just sitting in our shed, and like rent them out for $35 a day. And so they started renting, my kids started renting, they post on Facebook groups and stuff like that, started renting paddle boards. And then like, well, why don't we like rent, what are the add-on options? So they bought like electric pumps. So if you want an electric pump, it's $10, because otherwise you have to manually pump them up. Mm-hmm. And that's hot, and it's hard, and you if you're not working out, if your triceps are on fire.
You're done, yeah.
So then they added on, electric pumps, right? And then like, and then I said to my son, like, why don't you get these little inflatable kayaks? So he added like 2. So the fleet was like 12 paddle boards, 2 inflatable kayaks, and some electric pumps. And then they rented on like the life vest, $5 a life vest. And that summer, the kids made like $15,000.
Wow.
Yeah, like, right? It was great. But it paid for all their things. Their summer camps, their adventure trips that they went on.
I love this story.
All the things. And so my point is like, I could have easily paid for those things, but they would have missed all the lessons that come with it. Uh-huh. And like when a board came back and was missing a paddle, and my kids would be like, hey, one's missing a paddle. I go, so what are you going to do about it? Well, you want, you should call him. No, I'm not going to call him. It's not my business. Or like there's a hole or something was ripped or whatever. Like this is a time for you to learn. Like you got to have a crucial conversation, or difficult moments. How to like budget, how to like share with your siblings, how to plan a schedule how to literally communicate, because you guys dropped the ball and someone's here and someone's here to collect the paddleboard and you guys aren't here. But also, I remember we went on a vacation to Oceanside. It was a Labor Day weekend, and they rented out paddleboards the entire Labor Day weekend while we were at the beach, and they made probably like $1,500 that weekend renting them out, and they just paid a kid in the neighborhood to come over and wipe them down for $10 a board, but they were selling them for $35 a board. So teach them like how do you run a business where you don't have to work in the business per se, like all the skill sets. I wish I could say it worked, but no, my daughter's working $13 an hour job at college. Like, dude, why? I taught you all these things. Why? But it's not in everybody.
Yeah.
It's not in everybody. And so it's just who I am as a person. And I think I might be annoying to them, but if I wasn't a zoning attorney, which I love what I do. It brings me a lot of satisfaction. But if I wasn't this, I'd probably be a business person. I'd probably buy and sell businesses. I'd probably buy them and improve them and sell them off.
So I have a question for you. Yeah. I have a few questions, actually. So there's something I always say to Mike, and I've said it on the podcast before. And I said, Mike, you're not an engineer. You're an entrepreneur who figured out that he could make a business in engineering.
Great observation.
Do you feel like you're the same?
No, I'm a customer service person. Okay. I tell this all the time to my employees. We work at a law firm, but we are a customer service business. That's it. If people like us and if we do really good work, they'll just keep coming back. I don't think they're hiring us because we're really smart. It's just the truth. If you want someone really smart, there's a guy with glasses at a desk somewhere, and he's going to write you a contract. That's not why they're hiring us. It's because we give really good customer service. So you're an entrepreneur and you that found yourself in this acoustics world. I think I should be a shoe salesman at Nordstrom's Rack.
I doubt that, but you could do that, and you probably
I'd crush it.
If you're on commission, you'd be like, wait, I'm the number one, right?
Yeah.
Well, and to our conversation where Mike kind of asked, were you born with that? I do kind of think some people are. I have a child who's 11, who pays for every single one of her field trips, who started a baking business, who wants to own a food truck. Yeah. Like, this is what she is. Well, my 15-year-old wants nothing to do with any of that. Yeah. She wants to work somewhere and just like work and come home and do it. Like, but we work with our kids to try and earn their stuff. I mean, we always pay for their field trips, but our rule is like try to earn half of it.
Yeah, always.
And they always earn all of it.
So the same thing. I tell my kids, when you earn money, 10% goes to tithing, goes to the Lord right off the bat, and then after that you have to split in half. 50% goes to savings, and 50% is however you want to spend your money. So that savings is going to pay for the trips, college, their missions, or their weddings. Like they need to own the things. They need to have ownership of these things that are of significant nature. But not all kids are that way. You know, my son Wrigley, when he was 13, I was like, hey, why don't you, I've tried, I know I've tried to force this on him. At one point I bought all the supplies to do window washing business. It failed. No one cared about it. With Wrigley, I taught him how to go buy stencils online and do the street address stenciling, you know, white background, black letters, and go sell it. And he did it a little bit, but kind of petered out because it wasn't his idea. He just didn't believe in it. You can't make it something that's not their idea. And so then lately, AI has been a lot of fun for me. And so I've been like just tooling around with stuff. You can get so lost.
You can get, of course you can.
And there's so many tools.
It's pretty crazy.
But we, this one we bought, and it's pay like $150, $200 a month. Gemini through Google, and it allows you to create videos. And so you give it prompts, it creates videos. And so I made him watch a podcast. Literally, do you know who the Corner Office is?
Mm-mm.
It's an incredible podcast. It's great.
I do know which one it is.
I love that guy. He's genius. But he's just got a lot of ideas. And I saw something on there and said, Wrigley, watch it, take notes, and I'll pay you $15 to just watch it and take notes. And then he watched it, and it was summertime. And so like when I come home, just report back to me on what it was. And he reported back to me, and then I said, now let's go subscribe and buy the service and do it. And you can sell this videos that you're going to create to the vacation rental owners. We have a cabin. We rent the cabin out, and I lead a group of other cabin owners on resisting government overreach on some stuff. And so I said, people trust me in this group. I know if you were to become a master in this space, you could sell a service to them. I create your cabin videos so you can put them on your website and market your website. And so, again, like I will buy it all, but you've got to learn how to do it. I'm not going to teach you how to do it. You got to figure it out. And we had a lot of fun, but he didn't run with it. And I think that he's after like a month of doing it, he got back into riding his Super 73 and record himself doing tricks and playing volleyball, all the things that a boy should do. But I just realized like it has to be inherent with you, and it has to be your idea. Otherwise, you'll just do what you is the assembly line of doing. Does that make any sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. I feel like sometimes, I kind of didn't get serious about it until I was in college, and I stumbled into acoustics, at BYU, and it just happened. It was a small little group, and from that moment forward, I was in the accounting program at BYU, and I was like, I don't want to be an accountant. I want to do something cool. I thought, and it is cool what we do, but like it's kind of like one of those things. And then how do you take this and how do you spin it into an entrepreneurial venture? So it's cool. It's cool.
It takes a bet. You got to bet yourself.
Yes.
You have to take a risk, but I would say it's better to take those risks when you have nothing. Because if you lose, so what? You just go back to working your job. But like when you're later in your career in your life, it's hard to take that risk because there's dependence upon you. There's a social status. You don't want to be seen as a failure, but you got to take those risks.
How do you handle the pressure? Because I was going to say, one of the things like I've seen, right? Like on LinkedIn, you're kind of posting like you're building an office, right? That's not cheap.
No.
Right? And all the decision making there, I'm sure you got some designers and some architects and folks who are guiding you, maybe your wife or whatever, helping kind of chime in. But how do you handle, that's just one little thing that sounds like a lot of things you got going on. So how do you handle that?
Dude, I literally just had this conversation with my wife today, and it was actually a moment just like I was breaking down. I'm a lawyer, and so I do service for clients, which means I'm billing, but then I'm also running a law firm, which is a very different thing. It's being a business owner, and being the business owner doesn't make me money. Billing makes me money, right? And then I own a hospitality business, so making that run. Few different rental properties that there's a turnover. It seems like every June 3 or 4 of a turnover. I'm a leader in my church organization. It takes an exorbitant amount of time. Trying to be a dad, trying to be a husband, and I bought an office building, and I'm trying to be a designer, an architect. I can't be all those things. And I hired a talent to be those things. But even still, you still get brought back in for details. Even a contractor is building, it's like, hey, I need to run a question by come to the property. Or a designer, they're picking the furniture, but I still have to say, I don't like this, choose that, this. I'm going to visit ones. We've hired and fired several people through the process. Dude, I don't know how I do it. But I feel like the whole idea of like work-life balance is a myth. I don't believe in it, and it shouldn't exist. It shouldn't exist. What it should be is, what is the priority today?
Yeah.
Or at this moment, or at this task, and just handle the priority. So when you ask like, how do you deal with the pressure of it? Like, some of my cases are extremely, extremely oppressive. I had a case this last 2 years ago, right by my neighborhood. I learned a lesson. Don't ever zone land next to where you live, because people will hate you. They'll turn on you in a second. And that one was hard because it was like the people on my street, friends in my neighborhood, people I go to church with, people who school organizations or like local soccer leagues, like all the places that I'm heavily involved in my community, who know me and know me well, have my cell phone number, we hang out, quickly turned, right? And then your number gets moved around by a number of people because everyone knows you. And then your Instagram and your Facebook blows up, and the news gets called, and then there's an expose. Channel 3 is, doing like a deep dive or something like that. I mean, it was awful. Tires got slashed.
Oh.
People started tagging me on Facebook when they insult me, so it'd pop up in my feed. It was horrendous. So that pressure, by the way, all the other things I mentioned before, I was still doing. Like, it wasn't like other life just paused in the midst of like chaos. Or sometimes it's a case where it's not my money. It's not my idea. I'm just hired to get it across the line, but I still feel the weight as if it was my own deal.
Sure.
And I mean, you know what it's like. Like, someone's paying a lot of money. You put the pressure on yourself. They don't need to put it on you. You put it on yourself. And so how do you do it? I just figure out what is the most important priority at this moment right now. And sometimes I look like, I just need to get to Monday.
No.
If there's like a lot of things stacking up, like today's Tuesday, like, I know I'll be okay on Sunday night or Monday. And so I don't know. I think I work well in the intensity of those moments.
I think you do. I mean, having known you and worked on certain things specifically, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to pull you in here. But having you see you operate, it's like something magic, right? You kind of change, So I think you got the talent for sure.
But I don't know how to sit still. When we go on vacation, which should be relaxing, I'm like,
it's not relaxing.
I need to do something. I need to go do my taxes. I need to do something. You know what I mean? Like, I got to do something. It's hard. I don't know how to chill.
So it's always in that moment, like you're saying, to put a boat on that. Like, it's whatever is in that moment, the most important priority. You get it done. You feel like you've done that, and you go to the next thing. It's
do you exercise?
Every day.
Okay. When do you exercise?
Oh boy.
In the morning?
I exercise multiple times in a day. Okay. So because it's like stressful, right? Like, ask Robert, I have decreased in size because it's like 30 pounds because of just the sheer amount of weight.
I get calls with him on the treadmill.
I'm on the treadmill. I'm this and that, and I'm always running the company.
But you know what's great about it? I asked the question because how do I deal with stress and pressure? Everything? It is exercise. It is just you in the moment, right?
Yeah.
That is precious time. There's no distractions, no cell phones, no alerts. I'm not getting notifications. It's just me and my mind. Oh. And so I can process through things. Like, my business, I don't think it's a coincidence, took off in the time when I was my most active athlete, because I could problem solve in my mind, whether I was swimming or cycling or running. I could see solutions exist. And if I was just sleeping, wouldn't happen. And if I woke up, someone's asking me to pour them cereal and milk. Right? You know what I mean?
Sorry, but I can totally relate to this.
And at night, it's like, I need this, I need that, and I'm tired, I'm worn out. Like, I'm worthless. After 9, my brain is jello. But I'm really, really good in the hours when everyone else is sleeping. And so exercise is like, it feels good. I'm sure there's some chemical release. I know there's a study somewhere. I don't even know what the words are. But the exercise helps me problem solve, helps me navigate, helps me see, helps me plan my business, helps me, and then I will text people while I'm riding my bike. Quick note, I act quick on inspiration. It's the other thing I learned in my life. I act quick. If I don't act quick, I'll forget about it and it won't come back to me again. And so text this person, call this person, email so-and-so, I'll take out my phone, I'll do voice memos while I'm writing. All the kind of things, I just do it in the moment, because if I don't, I'll forget about it. And that's how I think I managed, I don't think it's a secret. It's just how it works for me.
No, I think that's great advice. I can totally relate. It's exactly the same thing for me. So it's good to know that there's other people like that.
I'm not wearing a weighted vest. I mean, I know that's a thing these days. Everyone's doing the weighted vest thing. No, I'm not doing that. I haven't gone that level yet.
But the exercise and the clarity and inspiration and making decisions, 100% for me is the same. So like people ask me, what is that like? And I'm like, well, why did you just hire this person? Not just internal to the company, but even exterior, like outside, like what are you doing? And so like those types of thoughts, it's like, well, no, this is why it is. And like, you may not see the grand picture. I don't know if I see the grand picture, but the pieces of the puzzle are fitting, and this is the way that it's being constructed.
Yeah.
So sometimes as an entrepreneur, like you don't have a rhyme or reason. You just see, you see the big picture. And it's not like I have the analytics on the back end for everything telling me what to do.
And there's not like, I don't see a roadmap clearly. I just know how to resolve what is presently the issue on my mind. And I would look back on people like, well, I think one of the questions that, we chat about Little Advance was like, how'd you get here, or would you do it differently? And I don't think I would, but there was some things I clearly like put into motion. Mm-hmm. There's other things that just kind of happened and I reacted, quickly for it. I do believe there's a lot of luck, but I don't think there was too much in my way. There's some things that were lucky and it worked out for me, like the timing of my business partner sort of wrapping up his business and the timing of me sort of taking off. Yeah. But at the same time, I recognized like there was a lot of work that had to get me in that place, to be there. Yeah. But the only thing I absolutely love, and I'm so proud of where I'm at and where I'm going. The only thing that I wish I could have just been more realized, or realized better, was like to just slow down.
Sure.
I went through college in 3 to 3.5 years because I needed to get through college fast because I was interested. I wanted to be an adult, and I was paying for my own college anyways. So I was doing like 20-hour credits semesters. Yeah. 20
credits per semester.
Yeah.
You were overloaded.
Yeah. And I was like, I wish I just would have stopped and taken a down class like golfing or like basket weaving or something. I wish I would have just
maybe enjoyed that process a little bit more.
Yeah. I got married quick, which is great. That part would never change. Had kids quick, and that part wouldn't change either. But it made me have to be an adult super fast. Yeah. And then I was so interested in driving my career where I could control it that I didn't slow down much. But the trade-off is like now I get to do exactly what I want to do. Almost every weekend, I travel somewhere with my kids, do different things. Like I couldn't do that today if I wasn't hustling in the beginning. And so those are a little bit of the trade-offs. But man, I would have loved to like hike a little bit more when my knee wasn't busted. Yeah. Like now those days are over, dude. But
there's stem cells. There maybe, who knows, technology is coming up.
I maybe AI will create like a new like ligaments for my knees.
There you go.
Well, with you talking about maybe things you would have done differently kind of in the past there, slowing down. This is coming from somebody also who got married very young.
Yeah.
Which I always say, kind of wish I got married later. I don't regret who I married.
Yeah.
Things like that. The thing I want to know is, how afraid were you of failing? Was that ever a thing? Was it ever like, because most people I know who don't take those steps, who don't really bet on themselves, because it seems like you've done that a lot, is they're afraid of failing. Failing's one of those things. Now on the flip side, I'm afraid of succeeding sometimes.
Oh, really?
And it's super weird, right? It's a weird thing, and I'm not alone in that, where some people are like, can I handle what comes along with that success? But did you ever worry about failing? Was that ever a fear, or was it something you were just like, failing's going to happen, we're just going to keep moving?
That thought's never ever once crossed my mind, failing. It just...
Like if you have a failure, let's say you have a case and it doesn't go the way you plan, right? Like you want it, or maybe you've had them all. That's just a learning moment. I mean, we experience that here.
Failing forward is a phrase that someone told me. I always like. I've never been afraid of failing. I feel the pressure of delivering a result to the client, but me personally, failing, it's never a thing, because it's just not my mindset. I'm not one of those like mindset driven people. Not any of that voodoo stuff. It's just personally, that's not who I am. Yeah. I always believe I will succeed. And I've always been that way. And I've failed a few times, and I had a case in Chandler. I haven't lost many times. Rarely, just to be honest, almost never lose. And you shouldn't hire me because I don't want to be a loser, right? And you don't want to lose. But I had a case in Chandler, I lost. And I know I didn't lose it because it was anything I did. Brand new council member got elected. one of his first hearings. The mayor always the one that votes last. I knew it was going to be a tough vote. I knew it was going to be close. I figured it was going to be a 4-3 vote. And the councilman, brand new, I think he thought the mayor was going to be a no, so he voted no. And then the mayor voted last, the mayor voted yes. So I lost 3-4. And I think he realized, oops, I refiled the case. And 8 months later, I got it approved. Didn't change a thing.
Yeah.
Just I changed my storytelling a little bit.
Sure.
So somebody could say, this is why I'm voting yes today when I voted no before.
Do you also run a podcast? Like, what's that about?
Yeah, so we do a show called Dirt to Development. And me and my business partner, we would finish hearings, and I'd call him on the way home from like Peoria or Buckeye, and it's 10 p.m. Like, you wouldn't believe what happened. This lady came and, she was crazy and she was playing a tambourine in the middle of her testimony or something like that. I'm not kidding. And so we would tell these stories like of the absurdity of things, right? And then it would be like therapy. And it was cheap because I didn't have to pay a real doctor to sit on their couch.
Yeah.
And we're like, these stories got to be told. And so in 2020, we were at a business retreat, and I said, I want to do a podcast, and it's just storytelling about like the behind the scenes of development. You might live in your neighborhood and not realize that before your neighbor was built, the rancher or the acre lots around you had a huge fight over it. And, or like, and so like the politician got really, was doing kind of shady stuff. I
love the story behind the story, because there is a ton of stories there.
I was gonna say, because we have our own. I mean,
everybody's got that.
From the lady who complained that the car wash shouldn't be there because it made the cars too shiny.
Yeah.
So
you remember when we did the pickleball down in Gilbert? What was the room like?
I would say it was like 600 people.
Yeah.
Opposition. Well, I don't know. I remember the vote. I remember the vote that you had. Like they had done an internal vote.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of just show, well, here's the, 5,000 folks, right, who live in this community, this development. And then you had this like vote that had showed yes to no.
Do you remember the day, like, this is a senior community. Ain't nobody have a job.
No, that's
They're
right.
They're all retired.
Yeah.
So they got nothing better to do than to come to this
show
thing,
up. That's right.
And when you do the meeting starts at 5, they're there at 4:00.
Yeah.
And actually you got to do the meeting at 4:00 because they want to have dinner at 5 p.m. because they're going to go to bed at 7 p.m. And so there's an army of people. Tennis ball people hate the pickleball people, and the room's divided, and then they all want their 3 minutes, and you're just like, are you kidding me? Like the things that they say, and it goes on and on and on. Like that's the story. And it was during COVID, and so I had to wear a mask and try to talk people to a mask.
That's the story behind the story. That's the kind of stuff you talk about.
So that's the show on Dirt to Development.
That's awesome.
We bring on developers, politicians,
I love it.
planning managers, consultants, and it's all like.
You can get the planning managers from the cities to come on.
Yeah. They're very careful on what they say.
That's awesome.
Sure. But it's the story of everything that you live, work, play, has a story behind it, and that's what we do. And so,
I have one last question before we go, or maybe two, but like the first one is this, because you talk about, hey, you have community outreach, right? And you're big time into that, into your community. Mentorship, mentoring. In that, I'm assuming you also offer some of that mentoring, like some of that coaching that you like, your life lessons, your work lessons. Can you kind of bring us in on that?
Yeah.
Because this podcast is big time into that. One of the things if you were to ask me like, why the podcast, Mike, I've always said it from day one. It's about mentorship. But it's also, if I was in college, I would want to hear like, what is it that a college kid would want to hear to help them, guide them into like whatever career path?
Great questions. I don't know if I had a formal mentor, but I had a number of people mentor me without realizing they were mentoring me. Mike Withy, our firm is Withy Morris Baugh. Mike Withy doesn't really work with anymore, but he was a great mentor without intentionally being a mentor. He'd take me along with meetings, tell me just don't say anything, just sit there. And then afterwards we'd maybe go get a bite to eat, and we just talk. And I knew that I was being mentored without him saying it, and he probably wouldn't want to admit it then. And I observed so much about the way he ran his practice, the way he ran his cases, that I wanted to mimic it. And I wanted to do such a good job, like the same way I wanted to please my parents, I wanted to please my business partner. Excellent mentors for me. A lot of politicians who I'd reach out to, I didn't know, but they knew my business partners, and they would just give me a little bit of grace as the newest guy. And I go in there very humble and just say, listen, I don't know anything. And my partners think I do. So I need your help. And that kind of straight up honesty, directness, and humility paid off. And a lot of people would sort of be kind and give me a little bit of grace to kind of fumble my way through some tough, difficult cases. Some planning directors, when I was young and trying to get them to be supportive of my cases and convince them of it without knowing me, I always would I'd send a lot of thank you notes. I think that's a lost art, handwritten thank you notes. I still do them today because expressing gratitude to somebody almost guarantees they'll come and help you out again. My other business partner, Jason, has an art at speaking. He's so amazing at it, and never got any direct mentorship, but watching, observing was like a form of mentorship. So what I do is, I wish I honestly I could do better. I really could, but I tend to take like the people in my firm out to lunch, just one-on-one, just talk. How's it going? Where you at? Ideas, suggestions. But in my personal life, like, I'm grateful for the job I have and the firm I run, but that's not who I am. It's really actually a very small part of who I am. And so the things I do outside of that is a greater place where I mentor a lot of people and help them out. And so I find way more fulfillment in that part of it. That's just the part that people don't see publicly.
Sure.
So
it's hard to like blend the work and like the personal life balance in terms of mentorship, but who you are as a person at work trickles into your daily life, obviously, and your home life. One of the things is, like, I bet you probably through your podcast, like, that's one thing, if you have listeners, it's like unsolicited mentoring, because you are absolutely telling them, right? And I notice, like, the language and the way that you talk and the way you present yourself, that all plays into that mentorship.
I haven't thought about it possibly.
Well, I'm just giving you like the feedback, right? Having been in hearings with you in the past, but also, like, it's one of those things where, like, if I could give back, and people ask me, and I'm on boards and I'm on different things, right? Like, you can't automatically help everybody, right? But if they hear the stories, and by the way, like the entrepreneurial stories, and everybody, there's people out there who try to, I get hit up all the time on LinkedIn, I'll be your coach, and it's like, I don't need a coach, right? Like, I want to, like, if anything, I want to hear the stories from other people who are in the trenches with me, digging, building things, or whatever it is, because, like, that's more inspiring to me. So, like, those are the types of opportunities where you could do that. And I guess
things that interest me right now is, I serve on the board of directors of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm creating through that organization. I'm not creating anything. I'm just kind of nudging and helping these people create a high school age entrepreneurs program.
That's awesome.
Through as like a subgroup of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm interested in that kind of thing. And so,
But your direct experience helps influence that.
Totally. And maybe I'm trying to force something again, like I was forcing my kids like to think this way. But the thing is, the people who sign up for that program sign up because they want to, and they have to raise funds to join. That's the first thing. Yeah. So it instantly filters out who the people. But like, I like mentoring that way because that's my mindset. That's kind of who I am as a person, and I know I can give guidance or value to people that, if they want it. I do a lot of counseling with friends, and oftentimes it's on walks. Between about 9:30 and 10:30, you'll find me walking in my neighborhood, usually with somebody with me, and it's just talking. And I don't know if it's mentorship or friendship or counseling, but
you could call it all the same.
Yeah, but we both grow, and I think talking through difficult situations, whether it's employment or relationships or spirituality, it is a different way of kind of being a mentor. And I think mentor really just being a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
I do have one question that I'd love to ask people, especially as we kind of wrap things up.
This will be the final question.
And you can keep it pretty brief.
Yeah.
What is like one or two pieces of advice that you would give somebody who is new or young, getting started in their career, any career, for that matter?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, number one, just bet on yourself. I know that's a risky thing to do, but bet on yourself. It always has paid off for me all the time. And I'm always betting myself. Even my clients, I'll negotiate a fee arrangement that's different, And I could lose money if this whole case blows up, but I could make a lot of money if it doesn't. And I'm willing to take that risk. And the other thing is just be likable. If people want to help people they like, and being smart hasn't really gotten me anywhere. Maybe because I'm just not smart. That's probably why. But being likable,
I don't think so.
Being likable seriously has got me way further than anything else.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, I'm not kidding. It's really made a difference. And people want to help people who are likable. When you're grateful and you're likable, like, everyone wants to do a hand up. And with neighbors who hate me, or, you know, being delayed on an airplane flight or whatever, like, just being likable has resolved so many issues that are hard to address. So probably 2 tips I'd give.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, hey, thank you so much for coming on our podcast today.
This is fun. Thanks,
We're
guys.
looking forward to the future of your firm and keeping it growing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, thank you.